All right, welcome everybody. We got from Spot It today, we got Carter Hart, Shiv Patel, Rohan Sharan, and Josh Song. They're the website marketplace that makes selling parking spots easier. Guys, today from the board, we have Nick Howard, we have Diane Bergen, we have Mike McElroy, we have Margarita Gillespie, and we have Carlos Saez. We also have Monty Bauer here, who's a former volunteer and community champion, and also a couple of my former students. Two of my favorites here, Connor Boundy and Sikander Kazi, are going to be joining us as well. So we have 20 minutes. So at around 6:50 is when we'll end it. So I'll leave it open to the board with questions.
How far along in your vetting this company were you able to get? Were you actually able to find buyers and sellers?
Yeah, so prior to our MVP testing, a bunch of us, we started obviously with our problem interviews, then moved on to our solution interviews. But then we also just decided to talk to some people who are the most likely early adopter. So I talked to some people in the city, family, friends, of course, nobody really unknown. And we were able to get their interest and get their information. And then once we started our socials and our website, we were able to then create the form where individuals could leave their information. And that's where the bulk of our potential buyers and sellers came. But prior to our MVP testing, I think we had about 2 buyers, no sellers. So that was really the difficult part of how do we market ourselves? How do we become palatable to these individuals who aren't sure if they want to list their spot, and try to get the sellers, because that's our main priority.
And are you trying to sell like a regular user, like someone's taken the Metro or high school or something like that? You're not selling spots for events.
So when we were researching as well, we noticed that the place where we could really implement our solution is Lambeau Field, because there's a string of houses around Lambeau Field where they will sell parking spots, and basically what they'll do is they'll just put like a chalkboard on the driveway. So we did look at that, but the only problem with that is the extent to which we can actually reach and give them the full, the depths of our solution that we can, we promise the easier and hassle-free. I'm not sure if, because of those places that are further away, like Lambeau Field and the United Center, and if we're trying to implement our parking solution there, if we'll be able to truly implement it, because we won't have as much control to see what we need to shift or what we need to change to the business model to either increase revenue or to maintain our customer base.
Guys, can you talk to us a little bit more about the acquisition plans for both the potential users, and I know you just walked through the far out spaces, but how you'd acquire in some of your target market to start with? I'm trying to understand your marketing plans and your scalability for users and spot owners.
We were marketing for our primary marketing target area was Barrington to start with, obviously, because we can reach people. Before the quarantine, we were planning to go door to door to most of the houses that are on the high school and all the businesses, which would have been a lot more effective than our cold calls. But we were basically marketing to everybody in Barrington around the high school for the most part.
Yeah, and to add on to that, so we got flyers designed, and on our flyers and on our various socials, we kind of incentivize the process of gaining these spot owners and spot seekers. So for example, for the spot owners, if they were to enter in a specific promo code, it would allow them to utilize our app or now our webpage without having that percent service fee. So they would be able to sell their spot and take all of the revenue without us having to take a commission. And then additionally, for if a potential spot seeker was to use one of the codes that we provided, they would also be incentivized, as it would give them 3 months free of the spot pass, which is the same thing. It would reduce the service fee and give them a higher buyer rating. So it would give them lower fees overall.
So it sounds like you had created a package of incentives to try to get people to sign up with you. What was the response?
Surprisingly, so unfortunately, we weren't able to put our flyers out everywhere. And how Carter was saying, we were gonna basically walk down Hager, walk down like streets in the village, and just talk to people, explain our solution, explain we're students, and try to really sell them on like, you have this asset of a parking spot, monetize it. So we were really hoping to ramp up our numbers with that, but we did realize that with this new incentive program, I'm not sure the exact numbers, but we went from having about 4 potential spot owners, which is really our priority, to then, after implementing this and putting it on our we put it on our Facebook and our LinkedIn, we were able to bring that number up to 13 prior to the end of MVP testing.
And so how many spot holders did you end up contacting, either by cold call or otherwise?
So majority of our cold calls, because we don't have access to like homeowners numbers, were really just local businesses. So we talked to Sweet Spot, we talked to the Egg Harbor complex, like those restaurants near there, as well as we were planning on talking to the Barrington Community Bank, and there's a Moretti's near the train station, a really good location. But for homeowners, we really weren't able to get that many yet, as we don't think that just by reading, they'll be really, truly like understanding of what it is, because of, say, like safety issues. They won't really know. Like they'll think, oh, like someone could park in my driveway and accidentally hit my mailbox. So unfortunately, we haven't gotten that many homeowners yet, which is really the priority of homeowners. So we won't have to deal with the businesses who are listing like multiple spots. So once obviously it's safe, we will try our best to get more homeowners, as that's our priority.
And would you view your, at least I guess I'm thinking just for purposes of this question, we'll talk the Barrington area, is your target going to be sort of the high school student who's looking to get a spot, or is it going to be the commuter who, due to his job hours in the regular world before COVID, might have a late start and always gets to the train station, there's nothing available for him or her?
So our whole goal is to really, what we've realized is, while there are these apps like Spot Hero that do have good parking locations, it's really, our value is customizability. So I would like to say that we would be targeting both, but I think our major volume will more likely be the commuters, as they're booking every day, in comparison to a high school student who will most likely want just one spot for 6 months or for the entire school year.
What's the market value? Like how much would someone pay to park in a driveway on whatever that's Raymond or whatever that street is that borders Barrington High School? Like, is there a going rate that?
I know
Demand?
a few friends that park on the Hager Streets, or for example, my cross country coach, he lives there and he sells a spot to some of the athletes, and he sells it for $600 for the year if he gets an athlete. And I know some of the other people sell it for upwards of that, and I know it goes into the thousands.
Yeah, me and Rohan also looked into it at towards like the early first semester. We found that like the average price between like parking spots near train stations and by the school, the average price was around $480. And that was the price we used while filling out like our financial model as like what our unit price would be, because that's like the average around Barrington near the school and the train stations.
This isn't so much a question, but a comment. So many times over the years, we've been presented with um, so many businesses that are virtual. They exist on an app form or software form. And one of the challenges when you're presenting those businesses is how do you make it tangible, or how do you create visuals that really give the user or a prospective investor a sense that, hey, this is really legitimate. You guys did a wonderful job with that. The kind of the faux screenshots of the app and everything was really, really well done. So I want to commend you for the effort that you took to do that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Can you talk a little bit about if you've thought of how you handle any disputes that might arise? And I asked that in the vein of, you mentioned, you're the parking spot Airbnb type, and they've come under a lot of criticism under this COVID for their lack of customer service. Can you tell us if you've thought about how you address issues that arise either from spot owners or spot users, if they run into conflicts or someone wants their money back or someone double sells a spot? Can you talk to us about whether you've thought that through yet and what your process was in terms of identifying those likely problems?
Yeah, so we kind of, for this issue, like Hags talked to us about this, about like safety issues and issues with like cars getting damaged if they were to park. So we looked into the business model of like Spot Hero and Airbnb, and we just found like the simplest way to do it would be like the person who were to park at the spot would be viable for all damages and all that stuff. And if they were to be like outside, then police would be involved. And then we would work with how Spot Hero does it. We would work with like local towing truck companies and that kind of stuff if we need to remove a car or anything other like that. And then there would be insurance for us so that we're not liable for anything that could occur within like these parking spots.
And hopefully to kind of like boost efficiency, in the app mockup, we created a messages tab where individuals, whether they're spot owners or spot seekers, can directly communicate with us. We would be doing it manually, but it would appear as support. So they could say, like if their recent spot, we could implement some sort of like rating system, and they could leave notes. So not only we could get insight on how we're doing, but also if there is anything, it's just a direct line of communication. They don't have to go to the spot owner. Like it'll just be from the spot seeker to us to the spot owner, and we'll be able to dispute it all manually.
Okay. Thank you. It's good to hear.
Anybody else have any further questions for Spot It?
What's the ask? 15,000? 17,000?
17.
What's the equity ask again, Josh?
12.5.
With the changes with the pandemic going on, has that altered how you're going to, you're considering using those funds or any funds that you receive going forward?
It was mostly with the marketing costs. Initially, we had more money towards like stuff we could do physically, but we just kind of switched the money to more like advertising online and that kind of stuff. But other than that, it didn't change too much about like the business itself, since we're mostly
And-
online anyways.
And that's why we have like a pretty big liquidity cushion, because we know that there's going to be stigma, like especially with Airbnb. We're assuming that like after this whole like virus and pandemic, it's going to be kind of like awkward, and also people aren't going to be as inclined to go and live in other people's houses. So same thing with parking. There's just variables that people might be scared now of about in somebody else's space due to the virus. So that's why the liquidity cushion is so high, just to maintain and make sure that we don't take a loss at like right out of the gate.
Any other questions, board?
What are you guys thinking as you're looking forward? Are you all engaged? Are you guys splitting? Some want to go forward, some don't. Let us kind of have insight to your thinking.
Yeah, we're going strong. We're all friends and have been friends since like before before like the class started. So I think we're good on like the teamwork part.
We're all pretty excited about this because we all love the idea and we're really confident in it as well.
Yeah, we started off earlier in the year with one idea, and it was okay. But then as soon as we started this idea, we just hit the ground running, and almost every pitch competition we've applied to, we've like worked really hard to make good videos, good kind of descriptors. And so I really think that like we work really well as a team together. We all utilize our talents and like specialize in different aspects.
Thank you. Good luck.
All right,
you.
guys.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, Rohan, Shiv, Josh, and Carter. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 6 o'clock for the rose ceremony. Okay, and thanks a lot, guys. Great job. Thank you.
All right.
Great job,
Thank you
guys.
guys for your
Thank
time.
you.
Have a nice
Thank you.
day.
Guys.